We have all felt that sudden wave of fear crash over us. The pounding heart, the shallow breathing, and the overwhelming sensation that our internal system is spiraling out of control. Anxiety is a universal human experience, and for the longest time, the prevailing wisdom has been to treat it as a flaw, something to be eradicated, suppressed, or cured as quickly as possible. While it is undeniably true that clinical anxiety can severely interfere with daily life and requires professional help, there is a crucial shift in perspective that changes everything. Anxiety is not always your enemy. In many cases, it can actually be your greatest ally. Many of us view anxiety as a sign that something is wrong, but history suggests otherwise. If you look at the trajectory of many successful leaders and innovators, you will find that their best work was often forged in a cauldron of anxiety. When you look closer, you realize that anxiety is an emotion like any other, and like any emotion, it holds potential for growth. When you stop fighting that discomfort and start pushing against it, you aren't just surviving the experience, you are building what we call mental muscle tone. This resilience is the very thing that allows us to navigate life's inevitable hurdles with grace and determination. Think about your own life for a moment. Have you ever noticed that the people you feel closest to are often the ones you have been vulnerable with? Deep human connection requires opening up about our fears and uncertainties. When we try to hide our anxiety behind a wall of constant productivity or perfection, we create distance in our relationships. However, when we use that anxiety as a bridge to share our true selves, we create authentic intimacy. It is a profound paradox. The very thing we try to hide is often the specific key that helps us connect most deeply with others. Furthermore, there is the powerful concept of letting go. Losing control is undeniably terrifying, but there is also a unique kind of peace found on the other side of surrender. You do not need to be a thrill seeker to appreciate that sometimes. The most liberating thing you can do is accept that you are not in full control of every outcome. This acceptance brings a sense of inner peace that trying to micromanage your life will never provide. Life isn't a movie, but occasionally, we all need to take a seat, accept the ride, and allow ourselves to let go. This surrender keeps our ego in check and allows us to affirm the limits of our control, which paradoxically brings us inner peace. So, how do we transform this powerful, often overwhelming energy into something that works for us? If your anxiety is not clinical, meaning it does not prevent you from functioning, you can follow a simple 4-step process to turn it into an ally. The first step is to identify. When anxiety hits, the natural instinct is to push it down or distract yourself immediately. Instead, stop. Take a minute to ask yourself, what am I truly afraid of? Getting to the bottom of that fear is the first step toward taking away its power. If the answer does not come immediately, go for a walk and do not come back until you have found the root of that fear. The second step is to share. Vulnerability is a strength, not a weakness. Speak about your anxiety with a friend, a coworker, or even a stranger. If you aren't ready for a verbal conversation, write it down. Expressing it, whether through text or email, breaks the isolation that feeds anxiety. The third step is to embrace. This is perhaps the most counterintuitive part. When you feel anxious, don't fight it and don't squelch the sensation. Let it happen. In fact, intentionally doing things that make you uncomfortable, as long as they are safe, is the primary way we build emotional resilience. By repeatedly facing your fears, you are essentially training your brain to handle stress more effectively, rather than letting it control you. The final step is to let go. Reflect on what you identified in the first step, and humbly admit that you are not in full control of the outcome. There is a profound freedom in admitting that while you can shape your world, you cannot dictate every single detail. Embracing this limit creates space for you to enjoy the process, rather than agonizing over the result. Anxiety is not a character flaw. It is a part of being human. By shifting how you relate to it, from fighting to identifying, from suppressing to sharing, from fearing to embracing, you change the entire narrative. You stop being a victim of your emotions and start being the pilot of your own mental state. You don't need to be fearless. You just need to be willing to face your anxiety, learn from it, and eventually, let it guide you toward the life you are meant to lead. Remember, the goal isn't to get rid of anxiety entirely. It is to use it to create a life of resilience, connection, and peace. Like and subscribe for more cognitive insights. Have a nice day.